There are quite a number of issues linked to the Rigathia Gachagua manenos that are extremely disturbing. Extremely disturbing to a patriotic Kenyan who is interested in only what is best for the country. You know, in our dear country, in our dear motherland Kenya, these days, we don't have many Kenyans. Instead, what we have are die-hard Tanga nationals and die-hard Kieleweke nationals, and die-hard followers of DP Ruto and die-hard followers of Raila Odinga. Kenyans are very few. Now, for the sake of those who have not been following the news, Rigathia Gachagua is the legislator for Madira in Nyeri, who was picked up yesterday from his Nyeri home and driven all the way to Nairobi, and is of course a very close ally and personal friend of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Incidentally, he is also a brother to the late Rigathia Gachagua. Anyway, let's deal with these very disturbing developments linked to the Rigathia Gachagua arrest. Shortly after the legislator was picked up by the DCI boys, not boys, boys, something very strange happened as he was being driven to Nairobi. Somewhere near Karatina and within Karatina, youths blocked the road in protest as to why their favorite legislator was being disturbed by the state. And then, wait for this one, another protest also emerged with some youths carrying placards supporting the arrest of the legislator. Now, hold on a minute. You have to prepare for protest. You have to write your placards. You have to gather enough people to make an impact. All this takes time. And so, the only explanation here that makes sense is that these particular youths who were protesting for both sides had prior knowledge that it was going to happen. Number two, Dennis Ole Itumbi, of the Deputy President's camp, had prior knowledge that Honorable Gachagua was going to be arrested. And he posted this information online before it actually happened. And by the way, he has also predicted that Gatundu South legislator Moses Kuria will be picked up next week on Monday or thereabouts. Let's wait and see if that actually unfolds. Now, why is all this very disturbing? I'll tell you, it's for a very simple reason. In any country on the face of the earth, the police will rarely announce that they're going to arrest so-and-so. They're going to pick up so-and-so. And this is because of quite a number of very obvious reasons. The target could take flight. They could even leave the country. They could warn an accomplice. They could organize for critical, crucial evidence to be hidden or to vanish, or they could destroy it, etc., etc. And so, it must be secret at all times. But in this particular case, people were aware of what was going to happen long in advance, that they had enough time to organize a political response, which included posting on social media that this thing was going to happen, and then also crafting the strategy of blaming it all on the government that is supposed to be bitter at the Jubilee loss in the recently concluded Kiambaa by-elections. Now, I'm aware of the fact that a majority of us on this channel have never in their entire lives organized a demonstration. It is a very time-consuming exercise. You need time to plan, to get the people who will participate, to decide on the message you're going to put on your placards, etc., etc. And I know there are many who are listening to this who still don't get it. They don't understand what the fuss is all about. DP Ruto camp knew what was going to happen. So what? Yeah, you're saying. I will tell you. What all this suggests is that within our security apparatus, within our intelligence, within the police, within investigators, we have die-hard Deputy President William Samoei Ruto supporters who have no qualms whatsoever about giving out confidential information on ongoing investigations. That is very serious, by the way. Because it is okay to have people split right down the middle, politically, in political circles. But it is not okay to have your security forces split. One part of your security force is allied to so-and-so, then the other half is allied to the government. That is extremely serious. It is a threat to national security. Oh yes. And please take careful note of the fact that this is not the first time that people like Dennis Itumbi and those allied to the Deputy President have had inside information on what is happening within our security boys. Now, of course, I'm keenly aware that for supporters of the Deputy President, there is nothing wrong with that. For Team Keleweke and supporters of Raila Odinga, they will be alarmed. And so, if a neutral analyst like myself steps in and comments on the issue, I will be told that I'm biased. I'm favoring Raila Odinga. I'm a Raila Odinga blogger. That's what I'll be told. Well, I'm simply a blogger for a better Kenya. And this is not good for a better Kenya. Because assuming that the Deputy President takes over after August 2022, then you can be sure people will change their positions concerning this issue. Supporters of the Deputy President will now start being alarmed. How come Raila people knew that investigative officers were going to pick up an ODM sympathizer? Now, the story of this politician called Rigathia Gachagua is even more fascinating and indeed confusing. For instance, between 2001 and 2006, Bwana Gachagua was a personal assistant to Uhuru Kenyatta. Oh yes. When you're a personal assistant to somebody, it means you're very close to them. You know many of their personal secrets. You're their confidant. I mean, even if you're an ordinary Kenyan, you're not in politics, maybe you're a farmer, and somebody was very close to you, an employee, a worker, suddenly gets very close to somebody who is your enemy, somebody who is against you, somebody who can sabotage what you're doing. Would you be comfortable? No, of course not. You'd be very worried. And you'd watch that person very, very closely. You'd want to know what they're up to every minute, every hour of the day. Because they could easily be used. They could use the information they have on you, to finish you with their new employer. And this is the reason why it should be obvious that Bwana Gachagua must have been very closely watched. From the minute he crossed over to the deputy president's camp, and the current misunderstanding between the president and his deputy became clear. That is obvious. And it is not about politics. No. It's just about normal human behavior, human nature, and the instinct of self-preservation that every human has. Doesn't matter who they are. And all this information I've just given you also raises some very fascinating questions. Like, why did Bwana Gachagua fall out with his former employer? Politically, that is. Why? There must have been a very good reason. Hapo, pengine iko kitu. Now, I hope as a regular on this channel, you're already in that position where you sieve, unaweka kwa kichungio all the information you receive or you read in the media. In other words, you put on your thinking cap when you're taking in the news. And if you're in that state, there are questions you're going to ask. There are question marks in the news and media reports you will take in. For instance, people telling us that Bwana Gachagua is going to face trumped-up charges even before he has been charged. Kama umevaa ile kofia inasaidia akili kufanya kazi. You know, there are many phrases you cannot translate directly. Like the thinking cap one. Because it just means you're in a state of mind where you're thinking. You're taking information, but you're thinking. Your brain is working. You're not a zombie as you read the news and accept it as gospel truth. In other words, you're not reading the news the same way you read the Bible, the Holy Bible. Because the truth is, you can only judge something as trumped-up charges when there's a charge. When there's just an arrest, no charges preferred yet. How do you know that the charges are going to be trumped up? Pengine aliiba kuku na hiyo kuku imepatikana kwake, for example. You don't know. And then we're also told that this is because of the bitterness of the government at having lost the recent Kiambaba elections. Now, that was a close race. Some people are even saying they're going to court. I would have believed that the government is bitter had the Jubilee candidate lost by thousands of votes. Had it been a landslide, maybe the winner got 26,000 and Jubilee got 1,000 votes or 2,000. That's enough motive to be bitter. But a close race like this one we saw in Kiambaa, bitter. And then also regulars on this channel already know the approach taken by the deep state concerning this particular by-election. It was clearly hands off for them. Even major party leaders, powerful party leaders, kept off. Murathe was not seen there. The Secretary General Tuju was never sighted in Kiambaa. President Uhuru Kenyatta himself did not go anywhere near Kiambaa. Had he gone there and campaigned for a few days, then I would have believed that the government is bitter. Because the president campaigned there and they lost. But that didn't happen. So, big question mark on that allegation or claim. But these people who are peddling these stories, yeah, have not mentioned the fact that Bwana Gachagua has an ongoing case, yeah, something to do with money laundering. You know, sometimes during sensitive cases, like this one Gachagua has had for months now, sometimes investigations go on, even as the case is going on. Even after the initial arrest, investigators still carry on the investigations. So, it is possible for these investigators to find out some new information, yeah, which would mean some new charges, and therefore would necessitate the arrest yet again of the said individual. That can happen. I'm not saying it's what has happened in this case. Correction. I am not saying that this is what has happened in this case. I am saying it is possible. And we have already seen on today's show that this is an individual, yeah, whose past means that he is being very closely monitored and watched all the time. And in such cases, it happens sometimes that somebody lets down their guard and they do something without remembering that they're being closely watched, or thinking that they have shaken off those who are watching them. Yeah, and then they go ahead and do it. And maybe that thing is not legal. Bottom line, if these Gachagua manenos are indeed political, then it has more to do with his past than his present. It's that simple. Who he was in the past to who. Yeah, and then now is in the opposite camp. Yeah, that must make the other camp anxious, worried, nervous. It's natural. Now, most of you will know that I'm the curious type. I'm always asking questions. I'm always investigating, researching. That's what I do. Every day, every minute, every hour, every day. I am seeking answers to questions that I have. Answers to mysteries that I'm yet to understand. And here's one mystery maybe you'll assist me with. Yeah, because I've never understood it. I have never understood why it is necessary, when you're going to arrest one man who is unarmed, you go with 24 policemen, 30 policemen, 3-4 cars. Aye! Why? Why is that necessary? The way I've always understood police procedure is 2 officers go together to make the arrest. In the old days, there are many instances where just one policeman would go somewhere to make an arrest. One alone. And as they went, they would be aware of the proximity of their colleagues, yeah, from the area where they're going to do this thing, yeah, so as to be able to call for backup very quickly in case something went wrong or in case they needed that backup. But these days, hey, especially this wakubwa, you find 24 policemen. You find in a house, there are so many policemen. You think that the person being taken in is a very dangerous Al-Shabaab operative who has dangerous things all over their house or their residence. Very strange. You know, there was even a case in the run-up to the 2017 elections where a certain blogger, a young lady, yeah, who has a very small body, looks very harmless, and indeed must be very harmless, was arrested by many policemen. Why? Or is it part of the government strategy of creating employment Well, I'm sure there's a reason. And I would be happy to know what the reason is. Why things have suddenly changed from how they were in the past. As a patriotic Kenyan, there's something else I worry about. This issue of picking up somebody on a Friday so that they spend the whole weekend in dirty, filthy police cells, as a punishment. Now that is not constitutional. That is not in the spirit of the Constitution. Indeed, that is malicious. And when you do malicious things like that, you open the door for your political opponents, who may be in the wrong, but will use that opportunity to turn around the whole issue so that it looks like the government is the bad guy. The investigators who have spent months on a certain case become the bad guys. And yet it is totally unnecessary. And of course, illegal. Because under the 2010 Constitution, the only people with the mandate to punish people for their crimes, or to issue punishment orders, are the judges, the judiciary, not the police, not investigating officers. Now, of course, I'm aware of the fact that Team Keleweke are celebrating. They're very happy, that somebody is being punished. But even in your celebration and in your partying, remember something very important. Today, it is Bwana Gachagua. Tomorrow, it will be you. And so to protect you, you must protest every illegal, unfair thing that is happening to Bwana Gachagua, even if you don't like him, even if you don't like the deputy president, whom Gachagua supports to the hilt. It doesn't matter. It is unconstitutional. It is not legal, to pick up somebody on a Friday with the intention of punishing them by keeping them behind bars the whole weekend until Monday, when a court can sit and release him, pending his appearance in court. Always remember the very wise Swahili saying, ukiona mwenzako ananyolewa, tayarisha maji, which is of course pure wisdom. And wisdom is what we should seek at all times, because we don't know what will happen tomorrow. Indeed, it is very interesting that Bwana Gachagua and company were celebrating just the other day in 2017, when it was ODM people being picked up to spend the weekend as guests of the state. Bwana Gachagua and company were cheering and clapping and saying, yes, that's how it should be. Now you see what is happening to him. The same thing. Ukiona mwenzako ananyolewa, saa ingine bila maji, wewe harakisha, tayarisha maji yako. Now I'm working very hard on weekly intelligence briefings number 62. And if I can give you a heads up, it is linked to what we've discussed in this video. And it will be released before the end of tomorrow. So I'd strongly advise you, if you're not yet a WIB member, to do something about it. Or if your WIB membership and subscription have expired, I would strongly advise that you act quickly and do something about it to avoid disappointment. The disappointment of missing number 62, which will be a weekly intelligence briefing and a half. Let me just leave it at that. And I will tell you something else. You can be squeezed in the special offer that is supposed to have ended, and save yourself a lot of money. Yeah, get 2 months subscription for what people have been paying for 1 month. Just listening to the details. Many times on this channel, I have described the upcoming 2022 general elections in Kenya with a Swahili very popular Kenyan expression as follows: Kimeumana kuumana. Oh yes. And maybe many on this channel have not been able to fully understand what I'm really driving at. What is the worst that can happen? What can really happen? What is this that kimeumana kuumana? Really? What is it? I know many of you are asking. In my latest weekly intelligence briefings number 60, I cover one of these areas that is really scary about our upcoming elections. And it is a trend that we have seen very clearly from the last two elections, the last two general elections. Of course, I'm talking about 2013 and 2017. It is a trend that is deadly, to say the least. Before the 2013 general elections, we had the death from a helicopter crash of the late Professor George Saitoti, who, by the way, had already announced that he was vying for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. But was it really an ordinary helicopter crash? There is a lot of information in the public domain that suggests it was not. And I covered this in great detail in weekly intelligence briefings number 60. Now let me give you another quick example. In the run-up to the 2017 general elections, indeed very close to those elections, about a month before those elections, the CS internal at the time, a man called Joseph Nkaiseri, suddenly passed on from what we were told was a heart attack. A sudden heart attack just before the general elections. And then we had the still unsolved mystery of the gruesome murder of IEBC computer guru, the late Kshs. In my view, the stakes were very high in 2013. They were higher in the 2017 elections. And they're highest, a lot higher, in the 2022 upcoming general elections. Now, there are details which unfortunately I cannot share on this public channel that are included in my WAB number 60 that will just blow your mind. No kidding, no exaggerating. And on this channel, it is our tradition to analyze our politics in our beloved country a lot more deeply than many others do. I'm not saying we're the best. I'm not bragging. But we make an effort to analyze politics very deeply. And therefore, the analysis of this highly sensitive area must be done. Otherwise, we will be cheating our subscribers and indeed our fans and followers if we somehow leave it out conveniently from our deep analysis, because it is all part of the upcoming Kimeumana Kuumana 2022 general elections. Now, times are hard. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And many of you, my beloved fans and followers of this channel, may many times feel that you're being left out because of the relatively high cost of being a weekly intelligence briefings subscriber. But I have great news for you today. For the next 4 days, from the day this video was published, you will be able to become a temporary subscriber for the weekly intelligence briefings for 2 whole months for only 9.95 Kenya shillings or $9.95. This has been the special offer for a monthly subscription, but now you can get 2 months. And even for those who your subscription has expired, you can now extend it for 2 whole months for only $9.95 or Kenya shillings 9.95 only. Go for it. I'm afraid you only have 4 days. In my opinion, the current special offer for a whole year and even for lifetime subscription, you never need to pay again, is also very reasonable, very low. So please take advantage. This offer will not remain forever. Indeed, it is going to end very soon, if I can give you a heads up. Those who normally pray for a lovely, beloved motherland, I urge you to step up your prayers concerning our next general elections. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.